It was an autumn evening, the kind where a heavy fog wrapped around the town like a shroud. Hannah and Mike, college students with an appetite for urban legends, decided to visit Hillgate Cemetery, a sprawling historic graveyard at the edge of their small town. It had a reputation, locals said, for being a place where strange things happened after dark. They arrived just after sunset, the mist curling around the wrought iron gates. Hannah was eager, clutching a flashlight and scanning the rows of gravestones just visible through the murky haze. Mike, less enthused, joked to mask his unease. "It's just rocks and statues," he said. "What's there to be scared of?" But Hillgate Cemetery wasn't just known for its eerie appearance. Stories of phantom lights flitting amongst the tombstones, whispers when no one was there, and even sightings of figures in period clothing were passed down like folklore. Hannah had heard about a particular gravesite, a crypt belonging to the Rosewood family, that supposedly held the spirits of its long-dead inhabitants. If any part of the cemetery was going to provide chills, it would be there. As they walked deeper into the graveyard, their shoes crunched on the gravel path, the sound muted by the thick fog. The flashlight grew dimmer as shadows seemed to gather the further they ventured. Hannah checked her phone for directions to the crypt, but the signal had vanished. "Weird," she muttered, brushing it off. Mike's jokes had quieted too. The weight of the cemetery seemed to press down on both of them. It wasn't long before they reached the crypt, a large, ivy-covered structure with a heavy stone door. Above the entry was an inscription, worn by time, but the name Rosewood was still legible. Hannah tried to peer inside through a small crack in the stone. "They say if you look too long, you might see something staring back," she teased. Mike stayed behind her, his arms crossed. "Let's just take the picture and go. This place feels off." She was about to take a photo with her flashlight when both of them froze. From deeper inside the crypt, there came a faint sound, a shuffle, or maybe a whisper. Hannah turned to Mike, her face pale. He shook his head, trying to rationalize it. "It's just air. Old places make noise all the time." But before he could finish his sentence, they heard it again, closer this time. It was unmistakable. A low hiss, accompanied by what sounded like footsteps scuffing against stone. Hannah's flashlight flickered and went out, leaving them in near total darkness. Let's leave." Mike's voice trembled now, stripped of its earlier bravado. Hannah nodded, stumbling backward as she tried to make sense of what they'd just heard. As they turned to retreat, the air grew colder and shadows seemed to ripple across the fog. Hannah thought she saw movement in the corner of her eye, a figure perhaps, dressed in something long, its dark silhouette vanishing as she turned to look. Then came the whisper. It wasn't distant anymore, but right behind them. Low, guttural words neither of them could understand. Mike grabbed Hannah's arm, pulling her toward the path. They ran through the cemetery, the eerie quiet broken by their pounding footfalls and panicked breaths. Hannah was sure she could hear more footsteps chasing them, echoing faintly. But when she glanced back, there was no one there. The fog seemed to thicken as though trying to hold them back, but they didn't stop until they reached their car by the gates. In the safety of the vehicle, both were shaking. Mike started the engine, throwing glances behind them as he reversed down the road. Hannah didn't speak while gripping the flashlight tightly, her knuckles white. Weeks later, she would return to the cemetery, alone this time. She wanted to prove to herself that it had all been in their heads. But when she visited the Rosewood crypt again in daylight, she noticed something she hadn't seen before. A plaque beside the entrance detailing the Rosewood family's history. According to local legend, the crypt had been the site of a gruesome incident over a century ago. People claimed to hear footsteps or whispers, not from the spirits of the Rosewoods, but from an intruder who had never made it out. No one could say for sure who or what was protecting the site. Hannah left without venturing any closer that day, and she never returned to Hillgate Cemetery after that.